Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to look at magnetising the brand new plastic Leviathan Siege Dreadnought. So if you watch my Contemptor Dreadnought video, you'll know that Games Workshop made it fairly easy for us to magnetise that one. But with the Leviathan it's a little bit more difficult. The Carapace weapons are easy, but when it comes to the arms it's a little bit more difficult, but we'll come to that in a sec. First off, let's just talk about what you need. So the first set of magnets you're going to need for the Carapace weapons are 3mm by 1mm magnets. I just got these off Amazon. And then the other ones that you're going to need for the arms are actually 6mm by 1mm magnets. Now I didn't have any of those. I had some 5mm by 1mm from when I've been magnetising Titans. So if you haven't got any magnets, order the 6mm by 1mm, but if you've got 5mm by 1mm, they'll be absolutely fine and you can use those. So first off, let's look at the Carapace. So what I would say is, before you build your Dreadnought, get this piece off the sprue where the holes are for the Carapace weapons and just put it to one side, and then get your Carapace weapons built and then do the magnetising before you build your Dreadnought. I ended up building the body first, and I kind of wish I hadn't, because it's a little bit awkward when you've got that piece of plastic there to try and get the magnets in place. But the first thing I would recommend you do is get your Carapace weapon built and then get your magnets, and then we need to make sure we get the polarity right. So glue them into your Carapace weapons. So I've just got one of the Volkites here. Get your magnets, put one on, and then just break away. And again, I'll just use one for now. The next thing you need to do, so if you imagine you've got a magnet on each side, and then put a magnet on top of the glued one once it's dry. Get a pen, put a dot on each one so that you know that the polarity is correct, and then the dot side will be the side that glues in to the piece on the Dreadnought, so you know you've got your polarity right. Do the same for both weapons, make sure you got both right. So like I said, I've already done mine, and then once you've got the magnets in place, they just drop in and it's easy to do. So like I said, they've made it fairly easy for the Carapace weapons, and you can swap them out and put your flamers in as well. One thing I have noticed with the flamers is the hole is actually deeper and can take 2 magnets, or it could take a 3mm by 2mm magnet. I didn't really want to waste the magnets, so I've just put one in there and it's absolutely fine. It holds perfectly. In fact, they're a little bit snug for the flamers, so you might even get away with not using magnets, but that's easy to do. That's the Carapace weapons. Very simple. 3mm by 1mm magnets. Glue them into your Carapace weapons. Put another magnet on the top. Put a dot on it, and the dot side is the side that you're going to glue into the Dreadnought. So next, let's look at the arms. So what I've done for the arms, I've magnetised it here at the elbow joint, similar to what how I did for the Contemptor. Now on the Contemptor Dreadnought, the outer pieces are actually on the bottom side, and this inner ring is on the upper arm. Now there's no hole in this piece. I've had to drill a hole, which I'll talk about in a sec, and a lot of people are saying you should magnetise it here. So your magnetising joint would be there and there. Now that's a good idea, but I have a funny feeling that when the ranged version comes out, you're only going to get 2 of these, and the ranged weapons are going to be built with that sticking up, and then you can swap them about. There's 3 ranged weapons, and I think in the ranged kit you're only going to get 2 of these. So if you magnetise there using that piece, you're going to be snookered when it comes to magnetising all 3 weapons. So what I've done is I've glued this piece in place and I've magnetised it here instead. So you can see there's a magnet on each side there. This is where I was saying 6mm by 1mm holes would be better. Magnets would be better, because that's the size of that hole, but I've glued 5s in there and it's absolutely fine. The tricky part is this part here. So I'm going to put this back together for now, and I'll show you what I've done and the way to do it. So on this side, we've got the claw here. I have drilled a 3mm hole. So just got a drill bit, drilled through with a 3mm hole, and then what you need to do to magnetise this side of it, it's going to cost you 4 magnets. So as you can see, if we push this in here, it's actually 4 magnets deep. Just bring that onto the camera there. So it's going to cost 4 magnets. That's the only way I can think of magnetising it this way. So the way I've done it is get some super glue, and I'm doing this actually on the video now, so hopefully this won't go wrong. So put a tiny bit of super glue in the hole. Just a tiny bit is all you need really, because you're going to push through with the magnets. Put it on some spare tissue paper, just be careful. Then you're going to get your magnets, and very quickly just push all the way through until you feel it on the other side. And you want to have it so you've got 4 magnets in the hole. Sorry if you can't see that on the camera, just 1 second. Make sure they're pressed in properly, and this is how it should look when you're done. So it should be nice and flush with 4 magnets in the hole. So once that's dry, what you then need to do, I'm just going to do it right now so you can see what you need to do. You take your 5mm magnets, you're going to need 2 of them. And then you're going to put 1 on either side. And the reason we're doing this is so we know we're going to get our polarity right. So we've got a magnet on either side now. There is the front of the claw. So the next thing to do is get a pen and put a dot on each of these. And this way we know that when it comes to gluing inside this piece, the dot is going to be gluing inside, and we're going to make sure we get our polarities right. So the way to do it is, I'm only going to do one side, because if you try and do both sides at the same time, say if you glued that one in and then you immediately glued that one in, the magnets are just going to ping together. You're going to have to glue one side in, give it a good half an hour to dry, even though it's super glue, then come back and do the other side. So we'll just do one side for now. So the way I did it is, I've got the claw, I've made sure it's the front side of the claw. I'm going to get my scalpel blade, I'm going to put it behind, so I can lift the magnet off easily, put that to one side. So I know that this dot side is the side that I'm gluing down. Bit of super glue onto the magnet. Now this is not the perfect way, the most efficient or perfect way of doing it, but this is the way I've found of doing it. And to be honest, I do think that the range kit is going to only have 2 of these pieces. So I think this is the best way going forward if you wanted to swap your weapons between the ranged version and the close combat version. So I'll put the magnet in the hole with the glue, just hold it in place for a little bit, give it a chance to dry, make sure it's sat nice and flush in that hole. And then what I usually do is I get something like an old brush, something that's non-magnetic, and just push it in the hole, and that's just going to hold that magnet in place for a little bit until it dries. And that is basically it. So rather than magnetize it here at that sort of the bicep area, if you like, we're doing it at the elbow bend. So once that side's dry, we'll get the scalpel blade behind this one and then glue it to the other side of the elbow joint, and then that is your arms magnetized. And then the last thing you need to do is glue the elbow plate on, and that goes on the bottom side of it. But I've found that this is the best way of magnetizing it. So apologies if I'm just waffling on a bit in this video, because I'm doing obviously one side live. Now the other thing I want to mention is you're going to end up with a hole here and a hole here where the power cables would go. Now I haven't put the power cables on because if we look at the sprue, we get 2 of each. We get a shorter one, sorry, not a shorter one, a differently bent one, and then a longer one as well, depending on how you pose the arms. So that is going to limit posability. So you're going to have one sort of like that, or if you had it bent further, you'd need the longer cable or the shorter cable, depending on it. So what I might do is I might use some guitar string. I've used it before to simulate power cables, and glue it in, and it's flexible, so I should be able to move the arm. And if I just glue it in at one side and maybe figure out, just tuck it in at the bottom or something like that, drill that hole and tuck it in, I might use that. But the other side of it, I think power cables on a close combat arm might look a little bit weird, so I might just leave them off entirely, to be honest, and just use power cables on the ranged weapons. But anyway, that's it. That's how we magnetize the Leviathan Dreadnought. One thing I will say is, if you haven't ordered the magnets, get 6mm by 1mm for this elbow piece here. Apologies for my little brush method, but it's just holding the magnet in place. And then it's for the Carapace weapons, it's 3mm by 1mm. Just take your time, make sure you get your polarities right, use a little marker pen just to make sure you know which side you're gluing down, and just keep the magnets away from each other, because if you've worked with rare earth magnets before, you'll know what they're like. They just ping all over the place, especially if you put them near tools as well. So that's just one thing to bear in mind. But that's it. That's how you magnetize the Leviathan Dreadnought. I hope you found this video useful. It was a little bit of trial and error for me, to be honest with you, hence why this video is a little bit later than I promised. But I've got it done. The Carapace weapons are magnetized. the arms are going to be magnetised, and then when I get the ranged one, I'll be doing the same thing for that as well. So anyway, that's it. If you enjoyed this vid, remember to give it a thumbs up, let me know if you enjoyed it, and if you didn't like it, leave me a comment, let me know what you didn't like, or if you're going to magnetise it a different way, let me know what you're going to do about it. I'd be interested to hear some other options. One thing I will say is Phosphex launcher on the top. I'm not going to bother magnetising that, I'm just going to glue it on. It'd just be too much faffing about. Anyway, that's it. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Cheers.